Now fight.
I just watched Sucker Punch. Alright, for all of you whiny little bitches complaining this show has too much popcorn and not enough lobotomy, today's your lucky fucking day. Because I've finally decided to review a movie that has an actual lobotomy in it. And since I'm a bit of a dirtbag, I figured why not indulge my dick and review the one lobotomy movie I know includes both the aforementioned ice pick to the eye and more upskirts than you can poke a tube of KY jelly at. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Popcorn Lobotomy Review of Sucker Punch. So you might be forgiven for expecting Sucker Punch to be a John Woo-esque girl power femo action movie, but one you can easily forgive because it's just an excuse to have girls flash their undies while hiking dudes in the face. And if that's the case, you're pretty much spot on. Because from the perspective of girls kicking ass, this movie can take its place amongst other feminist classics like Thelma and Louise, Jennifer's Body, Charlie's Angels, and Chicks in Bikinis with Big Guns number 9. The big kick to the nuts that Sucker Punch brings to the table is it completely undermines any girl power message by having all the action take place in the imagination of a completely helpless girl getting raped and lobotomized by a bunch of evil dudes. So you can feel pretty much free to ignore the pseudo-feminist message and see this as the high-production sexploitation flick that it really is. And seriously, if you're a heterosexual male, or bisexual, or lesbian, or LGBT with TB, or basically anyone who has an interest in seeing ladies' private parts, then you're going to want to see Sucker Punch in full HD. Just beware that the problem is the movie's always distracting you from a completely adequate game of spot the flange.
We choose to go to the moon.
By insisting that the whole thing is a bunch of ham-fisted metaphors for, well, something to do with intergenerational child abuse, mental illness, or dissociative identity disorder?
I never lit one. It's a metaphor, see?
But then after establishing that simple premise and getting the audience on board, the movie fucks you around with a lack of consistency and internal logic.
Our logic is to be illogical. That is our advantage.
That would make even Salvador Dali say, "Hey, what the fuck are?"
All right, explain this to me like I'm a 2-year-old.
Right, so you remember The Wizard of Oz, right? Okay, so it's basically an over-engineered reimagining of that, but it happens in several layers of fantasy, kind of like Inception, and with nauseating confusion like Vanilla Sky. But instead of a tornado in the real world, it's a girl getting lobotomized, and instead of a dream within a dream, it's a fantasy within a fantasy, and Tom Cruise isn't in it, and instead of the Tin Man, Cowardly Lion, and Straw Man, it's some giant samurais, zombie Nazis, and some leftover robot designs from a bad Will Smith movie. Oh yeah, and they fight instead of holding hands and skipping, and upskirts. Okay, got it? Even though Snyder tries to make a vague link between the outcomes from the fantasy world with the real world, the problem is that the real world is fantasy too. So you're left to admire them as vacuous artistic upskirt spectacle. And while we're talking about fantasy, what the fuck? In order to escape being lobotomized, Baby Doll fantasizes about being a high-class orphan hooker. And because that fantasy is so fucking traumatizing, she has to dissociate again into a world where she's a kick-ass action hero. So she makes her first fantasy so shit she has to double dissociate. Oh, nice one, Baby Doll, you fucking moron! I hope you're not planning to write any female erotic literature anytime soon. For fuck's sake, you'd probably write about grinning midget clowns riding oversized tricycles or something. Even this weird subplot where they talk about who is truly the main character of the movie, and fuck me, it turns out it's not even Baby Doll, but the unlikable rival girl, Sweet Pea, that's played the role of soft antagonist for most of the film. I mean, talk about breaking the fourth wall, but then again, in a movie as disjointed and nonsensical as Sucker Punch, can you even talk in walls? If there are any walls in this fucking stupid movie, they're padded white ones. Cause let's face it, there's only one thing that makes sense of the entire movie and leaves no doubt what the metaphor truly refers to. Because it's all just an expose of the hideous and inhumane practices undertaken during the process of Monarch mind control, an MK Ultra-based technique developed and implemented by the elite puppet masters of the world to transform the general population into zombies and their own children into disciplined, hyper-talented, empathy-free individuals who can robotically carry out the family line and perform the necessary evil acts without conscience or memory. That's right, elites, we know what you're up to, experimenting on innocent people in your own flesh and blood, shattering their minds into multiple dissociative personalities, creating a virtual factory of evil genius savants, military-trained assassins, and bombshell sex kitten stylists just like Marilyn Monroe, Mia Farrow, Britney Spears, and all the other beta program celebrity goddesses thrust upon us by the mainstream media. Oh, we know all about the MK Ultra mind control experiments of the 50s, elites. We've researched, we know you didn't phase them out. That's right, elites, we're keeping tabs. You can't take a fucking breath without us knowing. Anyway, after a bunch of pointless fantasy hijinks, the movie snaps back to the earlier scene from the mental hospital from which Baby Doll launched her original fantasy, and the doctor unceremoniously goes through with the lobotomy.
Jesus.
But for some fucking reason, it seems that certain elements of her apparent fantasy actually happen in the real world. And then there's some shit implying that Baby Doll has some kind of spirit of defiance remaining inside her, even though she's clearly been transformed into a zombified grinning idiot. So in the end, you're left scratching your fucking head about who the real hero is, what the fuck really happened in what reality, and what it all fucking meant. The only thing you can be sure of is that if you trace Zack Snyder's credit card transactions, they'd almost certainly lead to a website that offers used panties from genuine Japanese schoolgirls. Sucker Punch. 3 stars for upskirts. So, are you enjoying the reviews? Yeah, I knew you were. Well, get ready for some fucking disappointment, because from now on, I'm only going to release one a fortnight, at least for the next few months. If you want a more frequent schedule, well, I might be convinced if you help me impose myself upon other unsuspecting viewers. Reshare the videos, get on the Facebook group and bug me, hold your friends at gunpoint until they subscribe, maybe cause a pile-up on a major freeway and hold a popcorn lobotomy sign up when the news vans turn up. And don't worry, I'm working on some stuff that'll quell your insatiable appetite for my sexy voice and superior intellect, so just hold your fucking horses and be patient, okay? I'll be back bigger and stronger than ever, leaving no fucking shit movie unscathed. So watch out, you fucking Hollywood elites, I've still got my eye on you.